Today I've got a follow-up to a video I did way back at the beginning of the year. I'll be going over my top 10 most anticipated 4K releases for the remainder of 2024. So let's rock this. Hi everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz, and today I've got an update to a video I made at the beginning of the year outlining my most anticipated 4K releases of 2024. Now, I had always intended on following that video up later on in the year once we got more titles and release dates announced, and once we had a better picture of everything that was coming out in 2024. Because of course, at the beginning of the year, we can only see so far into the future, right? We usually only get release dates for 4K movies, a few months in advance, right? So we didn't have the full picture of everything that was going to be coming out this year at the time. Well, with October right around the corner, I figured it was probably time that I kick this update into gear because we do have a lot of great 4K releases coming out in the next few months. So today I've got a list of my top 10 most anticipated 4K movie releases for the remainder of the year. Now, as always, remember, these are just my own personal most anticipated releases on 4K. This is not intended to be some kind of objective list of all the biggest 4K releases coming out. These are the titles that interest me the most. Some of you out there may have some other titles that I don't mention in this video that you've got your eye on. But these are the 4K movies that I'm personally most excited about, that I'm looking forward to adding to my collection the most. Many of these are going to be horror titles today, simply due to the fact that we tend to get a lot of horror titles released on 4K during the month of October. And of course, I'm a fan of the genre, right? So it stands to reason that at least some of the titles that I'm excited about seeing come to 4K are going to be horror movies. But I do also have some other titles as well. It's not all overtly horror. There's some other good stuff in this list as well. All right, now before we get into this list, we do have a new Fuzz Club member that I want to give a quick shout out to. Just Moody became the latest member of the Fuzz Club. Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I know you've been watching for a while, and I always enjoy reading your comments and chatting with you, and I definitely look forward to more of that. But thank you so much for your extra support of the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. And if any of you would like to know more about the Fuzz Club, there is a link in the description below. Just click on that and it'll bring up all the membership information for you. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get right into this list. Starting off with number 10. This is a movie that I feel like should have been on 4K quite some time ago. I'm talking about the 1999 film The Sixth Sense, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, Ding Dong, and starring Bruce Willis, Toni Collette, and Haley Joel Osment, who was a great child actor back in the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s. He was awesome. And it seemed like Haley Joel Osment was appearing in all kinds of movies back then. We just saw him in everything, but just excellent, excellent child actor. This kid is just one of the better child actors I think we've ever seen. But a great movie, a great thriller. It's good to see this movie finally getting a 4K release. It looks like we're starting to see some results from that Disney-Sony merger. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, I think it was earlier this year or the end of last year where Disney and Sony inked a deal to allow Sony to take over physical media distribution for all the Disney-owned titles. And that was a pretty big deal for collectors at the time. Many of us were pretty excited to hear this news because Disney has been terrible about putting out older catalog films on 4K. They have this massive vault of titles, from 20th Century Fox or Touchstone Pictures or Hollywood Pictures. And they just were basically sitting on all these great titles and not doing anything with them, right? So many of us were really hopeful with this Sony-Disney deal that we might finally start to get some of these classic catalog titles released on 4K. Well, it looks like we're finally seeing some results from this merger. right? The Sixth Sense, that's a big film. That's certainly one of M. Night's biggest films, if not his biggest film. And that's something we should have had out on 4K a long time ago. It is a Disney-owned Hollywood Pictures movie that is being put out on 4K by Sony. And there's another title on this list too that is also Disney-owned that we're finally getting on 4K. So this is great news that we're finally starting to see some of these older Disney-owned titles released on 4K. Anyway, this is a great film. I'm really looking forward to picking it up because I haven't seen it in many years. In fact, I don't think I've seen it since it was first released, like within a year or two of it first being released. I think that's the last time I watched it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now, if you've never seen The Sixth Sense, I would encourage you not to read too much into it. You're best off just going into it cold, going into it blind, and not reading the synopsis or reading too much about it, because there is a pretty big twist at the end. And you definitely do not want to have that twist spoiled for you. So, but yeah, if you've never seen The Sixth Sense, this is one I would consider putting on your list. I mean, you can get a Blu-ray right now if you want, but I definitely want the 4K. I'm a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan. I love his films. I always have a lot of fun with his films. I have quite a few of them, but of course there were a couple big ones that were missing from the collection, and I've been patiently waiting, hoping that we would eventually get a 4K release, and it looks like we are. So I'm really excited about that. And the release date for The Sixth Sense on 4K is October 22nd. So make sure you mark your calendars for that one. Get your pre-order in if you haven't already. It should be a great 4K release. For my number 9, we have a more recent film, 2023 horror film, Thanksgiving, directed by Eli Roth. Now, for those of you who may not be aware of this film was originally based on a mock trailer that Eli Roth created for the Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez double feature Grindhouse. Eli Roth was tasked with making this trailer for a film that didn't at the time exist, and it was a hilarious trailer, and many of us really wanted to see this trailer converted into an actual movie. Well, he finally got around to it, what, 15 years later, I believe it was? When did that Death Proof come out? Was that 2007? I think it was. But it took him, what, 15 years to finally get around to making this movie, but he finally did. I still haven't seen it yet. I never saw it in the theater, and when the Blu-ray was released earlier this year, I wasn't interested in it at the time. I knew there was probably a good chance that it was going to get a 4K release later in the year, and of course, it is, right? So I decided to wait for the 4K release. You know, I wasn't in the mood to really watch Thanksgiving in January or February or whenever the Blu-ray came out. I knew I wouldn't be in the mood to watch this film until we got back into, you know, spooky season at the very least, or Thanksgiving, right? So waiting for the 4K was really no big deal. And it's also worth noting that this Thanksgiving 4K is only being released on Steelbook. There doesn't appear to be a standard edition or slipcovered edition. We're only getting the Steelbook, at least right now. And Sony does that sometimes, right? Sometimes they'll just release a title in Steelbook, and there won't be like a standard edition 4K release to go along with it. But that's fine by me. I'm happy to pick it up on 4K. And if Steelbook's all they got, yeah, I can live with that. I mean, I do like a Steelbook, a nice Steelbook from time to time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it on 4K regardless. But apparently there is no slipcovered edition, so I just want to let you guys know that. Anyway, Thanksgiving will be coming to 4K on October 15th. I'm pretty excited about it. I always got a kick out of that original mock trailer that he made. I thought it was hilarious. So I've been waiting and anticipating a full-length film, and I'm just glad that Eli Roth finally got around to making the film. Can't wait to see it. So yeah, Thanksgiving for my number 9. All right, next up for my number 8, we've got a great horror anthology that's coming to 4K on October 29th, and I'm talking about Trick or Treat. Yeah, great little film here. You know, I've only seen it once before, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's probably one of the better horror anthologies out there. You got Anna Paquin in it, you got Brian Cox in it, but it's like, I think it's like 4 stories that are kind of interconnected with each other, and it's a very cool film, very cool horror anthology if you're a fan of horror anthology type movies. So, and it looks like this is coming from Arrow Video. This is not going to be one of their limited edition chunky boxes. They do have a limited edition version that looks like it comes with some art cards and a poster, but it looks like it's coming with a slipcover. No rigid hard box, right? So, and that's fine. Sometimes they do that. Certain limited edition titles won't have like the nice, thick, chunky box. They'll just do a slipcover instead. But either way, I'm glad that we're finally getting this movie on 4K. I don't own it, so the timing was perfect. I can't wait to pick it up and check out the new 4K transfer. My only complaint is I wish they had released it a little bit earlier in the month. Presumably I'll get it on release day or by Halloween, but if I don't get it by Halloween, then I'm probably not going to be in the mood to watch it again until next year. So yeah, I'm definitely hoping that I get that one within a day or two of its release, just so I don't miss out on that whole seasonal vibe, because, I don't know. I don't like watching Halloween movies after Halloween, right? That's the way I am. I don't know. Maybe you do, but I don't really like watching a lot of Halloween movies once October 31st has passed. So I think this is going to be a great 4K release, and I'm pretty excited about it. So for my number 8, Trick or Treat. Moving right along here to my number 7, on November 19th, we will be getting Godzilla -1 on 4K. And I gotta say, I just watched this movie for the first time, I guess a couple months ago on Netflix, and I absolutely love this movie. It was so good. I couldn't believe that a Godzilla movie could be this good, but it was really character and story driven, and it just really, really blew my mind. I thought it was an excellent film, and when I saw it was getting a 4K release here in the US, I was very excited about that. So I'm definitely looking forward to adding this title to my collection. Now, I gotta be honest, I'm not the biggest, I don't have this long history with Godzilla. I never saw really any of the old classic Godzilla films from back in the day, right? I do like the MonsterVerse movies. I loved Godzilla 2014. I thought that was really good. And there's a couple other Godzilla movies. I think I have the one from the 90s with Matthew Broderick. I have that on 4K, although admittedly that one's not that great, but I do like the MonsterVerse movies. So my interest in Godzilla is a more recent thing, just over the last couple years or so. And when I saw that Godzilla -1 was coming out, I was super intrigued by it. And I never went and saw it in the theater. I'm not a big fan of subtitles, to be honest, and so I didn't really want to go watch a subtitled movie in the theater. But I did watch it when it came out on Netflix. And yes, I used the English dubs. And I think the English dubs are tolerable. I don't think there's a problem with the English dubs. Yeah, I know. I'm probably going to get flamed for this, but I like to hear things in my native language when I'm watching a movie. I mean, every once in a while, I'll choose not to listen to an English dub on a foreign film, but for the most part, I usually prefer the English dubs. Even if they're cheesy and hokey and silly, I still tend to prefer the English dubs. If anything, I tend to get a kick out of English dubs. They're amusing to me. So yeah, I don't really have a problem with English dubs on a lot of foreign films. But if you haven't seen Godzilla -1, it is an excellent story. The characters are awesome. I just really was totally locked in and engaged the whole way when I was watching this film. I mean, this is a film that actually got me kind of emotional at the end of the movie. I actually quite emotional. Now that I think about it. And I was not expecting that from a Godzilla movie. You don't expect to go into a Godzilla movie and get much in the way of substance, right? But this film is all substance. It's awesome. Plus, you get Godzilla destroying things on top of that. So lots of substance, lots of depth to this film, and yeah, I definitely recommend seeing it. If you're a fan of other Godzilla movies, this is one you definitely should think about adding to your collection. So I just can't wait for the 4K release. I'll be probably watching it again as soon as I get it. So yeah, for my number 7, Godzilla Minus One. Next up, we've got a Ty West movie here, Lionsgate 4K release. I'm talking about Maxine, which I'm very excited about. In fact, Maxine is the film I've been wanting to see the most out of the entire trilogy. Right? I liked X when it was first released. I liked it. I was a little bit disappointed. It wasn't quite as good as I was hoping it would be, but I still thought it was a decent film. And for those of you who don't know, Maxine is the third installment in a trilogy, right? X being the first film, Pearl being the second film, which was also a well-done film. And, you know, I liked Pearl, but Maxine is the one that I've really been looking forward to the most out of the whole trilogy, right? And X was cool because they went with this kind of, it had kind of a 70s, retro 70s throwback vibe, almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? They had that kind of vibe going on. And this is one thing I like about Ty West. He's really good at capturing certain eras, right? Then he does Pearl, which he took a totally different visual approach to it, right? He tried to make it like an old classic Technicolor Hollywood film, right? Because it's set during a different era. It's a prequel to X, right? And I loved what he did with it. I thought it was really well done. But Maxine is the film I was really excited about because that's all set during the 80s. And of course, the 80s is my jam, right? That's my era. I grew up, I'm a kid of the 80s, of the 70s and 80s, but the 80s is when I hit my teen years and really started to come alive, right? So yeah, I've been really excited to see what happens next with Maxine. And, you know, I didn't even really want to see Pearl to begin with. Like in terms of like what I would have preferred Ty West did. I'm not a big fan of prequels, right? But I did definitely wanted to see what happened with Maxine after X. And so I've kind of been waiting this whole time just for Maxine to come out. Now, I didn't see it in the theaters because it takes a lot to get me out to a theater, and I figured it probably wouldn't be too long before we got a 4K. But I'm really excited to see this 4K. It looks right up my alley, and I suspect I'm probably going to like Maxine the most out of all 3 films. I mean, I'm fully anticipating that, right? Because even just from the trailer, it looks awesome. It just looks awesome. I mean, Ty West is just a great director. You know, he's got some serious filmmaking chops. He knows how to, he really knows how to capture an era, right? Whether it be the 70s or the 1940s or the 1980s. He did it with X, he did it with Pearl, and I'm sure he did it with Maxine as well. I love his retro vibe and his attention to detail in recreating classic eras of film. So yeah, Maxine is coming to 4K on October 8th, and I'm thinking about putting this one in one of my 4K takeaways videos, of doing a review on it at some point during the month of October. I actually probably will do a couple 4K takeaways in the month of October because there's a lot of great 4K releases coming out. So good opportunity for me to review some of these films. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this 4K release of Maxine. I can't wait to see it. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on the channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to activate that notification bell as well so you can be alerted when I'm posting videos that you might dig. Also, don't forget to like the video as well. It really does help with the algorithm and the channel's visibility out there on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I really appreciate it. Okay, and moving right along here to my number 5, we've got a 2002 movie, The Ring, another horror film, and I don't think I've seen this movie since probably around 2002, 2003. It feels like it's been about 20 years since I've seen it, but I do remember liking the movie at the time, and I was really happy to see this get a 4K release. Now, this is coming out on October 15th. This is a Paramount release. And it's just a great horror film. Really, it's got some great atmosphere to it, if I remember correctly. Now, Granted, like I said, it's been close to 20 years probably since I've seen it. So I'm just going on memory here, and I've only seen it once. But it made enough of an impact, enough of an impression on me at the time that all these years later, I find it's coming to 4K, and I'm like, yeah, I definitely have got to get that in my collection. So I'm really looking forward to seeing The Ring on 4K as well. So yeah, The Ring coming out October 15th from Paramount for my number 5. For my number 4, we've got another one of these Disney-Sony merger deals and another M. Night movie as well. And I'm talking about Signs, also from 2002, a great movie. This may be one of my favorite M. Night movies. I really like Signs. I can even stomach Joaquin Phoenix in this movie. And I'm not a big fan of Joaquin, as some of you have learned in recent weeks. But you know, he wasn't too bad in this one. I thought he was all right in Signs, and of course Mel was great in Signs as well. Another one of these deals where Disney should have released this on 4K some time ago. I mean, the fact that it's taken this long to get a 4K release of this film is a bit of a travesty because it's one of the 2 biggest M. Night movies in his catalog. So this is a Sony release of a Touchstone Pictures film, which of course is owned by Disney. So this is another one I'm glad to see we're finally getting a 4K release of, and I'm pretty excited about it. I imagine it's going to look awesome in 4K. And this one's coming to 4K on October 22nd, so if you happen to be a big fan of this film, I would definitely encourage you to get your pre-order in, reserve your copy today, or at least put it on your pickup list to maybe pick up in the near future, because I'm sure this is going to be a great 4K. So yeah, for my number 4, Signs. For my number 3, we've got a title here that I mentioned, I believe, at the beginning of the year when I did that original video. And at the time, we didn't know when it was exactly coming out. We just knew it was coming out sometime this year. Well, I'm talking about The Hitcher from Second Sight Films. Second Sight with their nice, awesome, limited edition, rigid, chunky box. I can't wait for that. You know, Second Sight has been working on this for quite some time. Apparently, they've had to jump through a few hoops to make this happen, but they finally were able to get it going, and now we're finally getting the release on September 30th, which is just next week. So I can't wait. I've got my copy pre-ordered. I ordered mine from Orbit DVD. You can also order them from Diabolic DVD. Well, I don't know if any are in stock now. The limited edition box set might be a little bit harder to find. Those tend to go pretty quickly with Second Sight. You know, Second Sight releases do tend to go pretty quickly. But it looks like there may be some more coming in the future. So I would keep an eye on Diabolic DVD or Orbit DVD. And I think you might even be able to order the limited edition box set on Amazon US. It might cost you a bit more, but I think you can get it on Amazon. So, but I ordered my copy from Orbit DVD. They sent an email this week indicating that they were probably going to be shipping it sometime toward the end of this week. So it should be arriving soon. And I'm beyond stoked for this one. You know, this is something that I think a lot of people have been waiting for a while. So yeah, Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell, great little, I don't know, psychological thriller. I've actually never seen the film, if you can believe that. That's part of why I'm so excited about it, because I've heard great things about it, but I don't think I've ever seen it. I mean, I don't know. I might have come across it on cable TV when I was young. Maybe, you know, playing on cable TV at some point. I might have caught a few scenes or something from it, but I don't remember it. So, but I've just heard so many great things about The Hitcher, and I'm excited to finally be getting my hands on this new Second Sight 4K. So yeah, for my number 3, The Hitcher. Now, I've actually got a little addendum here regarding The Hitcher. I didn't find out about this until after I had recorded the video, so I had to come back and record this. But essentially, Warner Brothers is also releasing The Hitcher here in the US on 4K and Blu-ray. And that's going to be October 22nd when that happens. I didn't even know about this when I was recording the other parts of the video. Digital Bits just announced this like 3 hours ago. So I was going through my my video clips here and realized, oh, I guess they might want to know about the US release as well, right? So if you're not, I'm obviously very excited about the Second Sight chunky box, right? That's what's got me going. But I didn't know that Warner was also releasing it here in the US. So if you want the Hitcher on 4K, but you don't necessarily want to import from the UK, you have another option. Warner Brothers is going to be putting out their own US release of the Hitcher. Now, of course, it's not going to be as cool as the Second Sight box set, right? Because Second Sight just does incredible work with their limited edition presentations, the packaging, the book, the posters, and of course the killer restoration, right? So I love Second Sight, but not everybody wants to, you know, plop down 60 or 70 or 80 bucks for the Second Sight release. So if you're in that camp, then you can look forward to a Warner Brothers release here in the US in a few weeks. So yeah, the Hitcher, we're also getting a 4K release here in the US in addition to that Second Sight UK release. So just thought you might like to know. For my number 2, this is a pretty big one here. Coming to 4K on October 15th, we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. It's about fucking time. I mean, that's what I've got to say to that. They have really been dragging their feet. Warner Brothers has really been dragging their feet on getting this out. I don't know what the deal is. You know, we've been waiting for years for them to give the Nightmare on Elm Street movies a proper treatment, right, or a good release. In fact, let me pull out my Blu-ray here. This is what we've had of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and this, you know, this isn't going to cut it for a lot of people, especially for big fans of this franchise. And I don't consider myself a big fan of the franchise, but I do like it, right? I primarily like the first movie and the third movie and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I like those three probably the most, but the rest I don't know that I care about as much. But still, I mean, this is a pretty lame compilation. A couple of the discs have 2 movies on a single disc, which I am never a fan of that because, you know, you're not going to get as high a quality of an encode when you're cramming 2 movies on a disc, and they do that for several of the discs in here. So yeah, I wouldn't call this the greatest Blu-ray release. We were definitely long overdue to get the Nightmare on Elm Street movies on 4K. Now, so far, we're just getting the first one. No word yet on the rest of the movies, right? And for Nightmare on Elm Street fans, I definitely want them to release all of the Nightmare movies on 4K. We need a good 4K box set, right? You know, the last really good box set we got for that franchise was that old DVD box set, which I don't have, but I've seen it and it's awesome, right? Well, it would be awesome if they could do something like that for the 4Ks. But I don't know if they will at this point. At this point, I think we should just be happy for any 4Ks of any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies that we can get our hands on. But I did get my hands on the first one, and I am hoping they at least release Dream Warriors on 4K as well. Those are the 2 I'd probably want to upgrade to 4K. I don't know that I really need to upgrade the rest if they even end up all coming out on 4K. If we get a bunch of standalone releases, then I'll probably just buy 1 and 3 and maybe New Nightmare if they ever release that on 4K. But I don't know that I'd necessarily go all in on a 4K box set personally, right? Because I'm just not as into the franchise as other people are. But I definitely want to see it released on 4K for all the big Nightmare on Elm Street fans out there. So for my number 2, Nightmare on Elm Street. All right, and for my number 1, it's one of my all-time favorite films, coming to 4K on November 19th. Finally, we're talking about The Terminator. Oh, I'm so excited for this. In fact, we've got both a steelbook and a slipcovered edition coming out on 4K, and I ordered one of each, right? Which I almost never do. I almost never like double dip and order, you know, the steelbook and the slipcover. It has to be a pretty big movie for me to do something like that, to actually secure both editions. And this one is such a movie, right? I'm a huge fan of the Terminator. I've mentioned a number of times before, you know, saw the Terminator in 1984 in the theater with my dad. It was a very impactful and memorable experience that has stuck with me all these years to this day. Right, I still have a lot of warm fuzzies and nostalgia when I think about the Terminator, and it's just a film I never get tired of watching. So I am really excited that we are finally getting a 4K release of this, and hopefully we'll also be getting T2 Judgment Day, a new 4K restoration of T2 Judgment Day as well. Not on that same day, of course, but I'm hoping that maybe within a couple months of the release of Terminator that we'll also get a revised version of Terminator 2 on 4K, because as I'm sure many of you already know, the existing Terminator 2 4K is shit, right? It's widely considered to be one of the worst 4Ks out there. Right? The studio screwed up on this. They used the wrong master. They used a 3D master instead of a 4K master. And it's just, the results were not good, right? So, and even James Cameron was apparently not very happy with the way the existing 4K came out. And so the word is they've been working on redoing it, on doing a new restoration for T2. So I'm hoping that we'll get that, an announcement for that pretty soon, maybe December, January, somewhere in there. It's hard to say. But at least for the time being, the first one, right, that's a big deal, and I'm super excited about it. You know, I like all the other James Cameron stuff. You know, the 4K releases, Aliens, and The Abyss, and even True Lies, I thought was the best it's probably ever looked on home media, even though there were some issues with the 4K on that. But, you know, I thought they all looked pretty good. And especially Aliens and The Abyss. Those look fantastic to my eyes. So, yeah, I'm not one of those people who has any problems with James Cameron doing things the way he does. I understand what he's doing. I get it. And I like the work he does, you know, on these restorations. I thought The Abyss was incredible. So, you know, I'm fully expecting him to take a similar approach with the first Terminator, and I just can't wait to see how it looks on 4K. So for my number one, coming to 4K on November 19th, we've got The Terminator. All right, so that wraps up my top 10 list, but of course I also have some honorable mentions, and I actually have quite a few honorable mentions to touch on today. I'm going to try to breeze through them fairly quickly here, but the first of which is Body Double is getting a 4K Steelbook. That is Steelbook, right? Yeah, 4K Steelbook from Sony, and that's actually being released this week. In fact, I think it's coming out today, at least the day I'm recording this video. So that one I'm kind of on the fence with, because I already have this this Indicator Blu-ray of Body Double, and it's a good movie. I love Brian De Palma. He does some great work, but maybe this isn't like my top film of his. You know, this isn't necessarily one of my favorite films. I like the film, but if I were ranking De Palma films, this one would be a little bit lower in the ranking, right? So I haven't decided if I actually want to upgrade this title to 4K or not. Like I said, I do like the movie. I think it's a good movie, but I might be fine with just my Blu-ray here. So I'm kind of still chewing on it, trying to decide if I want to upgrade. But yeah, that is a Sony Steelbook, 1984 movie, and just a great Brian De Palma film. So for those of you who are De Palma fans and you're collecting his titles on 4K as they're released, you might want to take a look at Body Double. Another honorable mention here, we got Stir of Echoes, the 1999 film starring Kevin Bacon. That is getting a Steelbook only release as well from Lionsgate, and that will be released on December 10th. So that one I'm pretty excited about. I actually just found out about this the other day. I didn't even know it was coming to 4K, so I was pretty excited to find that out. I love Kevin Bacon, and Stir of Echoes, great little thriller with Kevin Bacon, and yeah, just a fun film. In fact, I had been thinking about buying this on Blu-ray because I've been meaning to pick it up. I haven't seen it for many years, but I've never owned it, but I've always liked the movie. So I'm looking forward to this 4K release. The timing is perfect on this because I was thinking about getting the Blu-ray. Now I'll just hold off for the 4K release, but I imagine it's going to look quite good in 4K. So yeah, Stir of Echoes. Next up, got a Jean-Claude Van Damme film here coming to 4K on December 3rd. I'm talking about Kickboxer, and who's putting that out? Lionsgate, another Lionsgate Steelbook here. And I'm kind of in a similar boat with Kickboxer as I was or am with Body Double. In other words, I've got a Blu-ray, which is great. I mean, the Blu-ray is fine. And I haven't decided yet if I want to upgrade this one to 4K yet or not. I've got a couple Van Damme films in 4K, but I'm not so sure that I need all of them in 4K. I know Southern Death has also recently came out in 4K, and that one I decided to just not upgrade. I also have a Blu-ray for that. And I figured, I'm fine with the Blu-ray. And I'm thinking I might be fine with the Blu-ray on this, but I don't know. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. I may break down and eventually buy the 4K release as well. But it's a great film. And for those of you Van Damme fans out there, if you're looking to get as much of his stuff as possible in 4K, well, now you can put this one on your radar as well. So Kickboxer. Another honorable mention is the 2003 film The Hunted, directed by the great William Friedkin and starring Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro. This is one that I'd actually forgotten was a William Friedkin film, or maybe I didn't know. Certainly at the time I first saw the film years ago, I wasn't really all that hip to William Friedkin in general, right? I wasn't really following his career as a director. He wasn't really on my radar, aside from having seen The Exorcist or whatnot, right? But so yeah, I was kind of surprised to find this was actually a William Friedkin film. I remember liking the film when I saw it, but this is another one of those ones I probably haven't seen for probably close to 20 years. And yeah, it was a good film, well done film. It's about an assassin and an FBI tracker who's trying to track him down, and I'll just leave it at that. But this is one I'm definitely looking forward to getting on 4K. Having become a pretty big William Friedkin fan in the last couple years, yeah, this is one I definitely want to add to my collection. I don't own it on Blu-ray, so the timing of the 4K is great because I probably would have bought it on Blu-ray had it not been for this 4K announcement. It was one that I had been kind of chewing on, but just hadn't gotten around to picking up yet. So yeah, The Hunted on 4K. Did I give a date on this? It's coming out November 19th. That's when we're getting the 4K release. And that is a Kino Lorber 4K release. They always do a great job on all their 4Ks. So yeah, The Hunted. Another 4K release I'm looking forward to is the Rules of Engagement, the 2000 movie starring Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson. That is getting a 4K release from Kino Lorber on October 22nd. So I'm pretty excited about that one. This is another film I haven't seen since it was relatively new, but I seem to remember liking the film. And, I don't own it in any form. So I figured, yeah, this is one that will be cool to get on 4K as well. It's definitely one I'll be picking up. So, yeah, The Rules of Engagement. We've also got George Romero's Land of the Dead coming to 4K on October 15th from Scream Factory. And that I'm kind of looking forward to. I do have the Scream Factory Blu-ray, the previous Blu-ray, and it seemed pretty stacked. I mean, this was a pretty decent Blu-ray, but I definitely want to get any George Romero of the Dead films on 4K. I do have Dawn of the Dead, of course, on 4K. I'm kind of surprised we're still not getting Day of the Dead released on 4K. It must be a licensing issue somehow, because it's weird that they skipped over Day of the Dead and went to Land of the Dead. So there definitely must be some sort of a rights issue there as to why they haven't been able to produce a 4K of Day of the Dead. But you know what? As it turns out, I actually like Land of the Dead a little bit more than Day of the Dead. And I know that might be kind of blasphemous to some people out there, but that's how I feel. This film was a little bit more entertaining to me than Day of the Dead. Of course, not better than Dawn of the Dead. I mean, that's an absolute classic, right? But But yeah, I do like Land of the Dead, so I'm looking forward to picking that up on 4K when it comes out. And then the last few honorable mentions here are titles that the only thing we know about them is that they're coming soon. We don't actually have hard release dates for these, and I don't even know if these are going to be released before the end of the year. You know, a few of these might go into next year, but Kino Lorber does this sometimes. They'll let you know that something is coming soon, but then it might be 6, 8 months to a year before we actually see the actual release date, right? So, so there's a couple here that they've noted are coming soon, but we don't have an actual release date on. I'm going to go ahead and mention them anyway because I'm interested in them, or well, 2 of the 3 here I'm interested in. The first one is Snake Eyes, Brian De Palma film. I've got it on Blu-ray here, 1998 film, great film. This is another one I'm not sure if I'm going to upgrade to 4K when it comes or not, kind of like Body Double. I'm not sure if I need it on 4K. I'm pretty happy with this Blu-ray. It's a great film, but again, it's not one of my favorite De Palma films. I don't like it anywhere near as much as, you know, Scarface or Blowout, right? So so this one I'm chewing on. I'm not sure if I'm going to upgrade it to 4K when it comes out. But if you're a Brian De Palma fan, this is one you might want to keep an eye out for in the near future on 4K. Another one that's coming soon from Kino Lorber is a movie called Bad Boys from 1983, starring Sean Penn. I haven't seen it since the 80s, but I remember it being a pretty good film. And I'm not even a big Sean Penn guy, right? But I remember this film being pretty decent. I seem to remember it being like a prison type film, kind of a rough and tumble prison film, and that's really all I remember about it. I don't remember a whole lot of specifics, but it's apparently coming to 4K soon, and I think I'll probably end up buying that, which is odd for me because I don't usually buy too many movies with Sean Penn in it, but this is one I would make an exception for. So yeah, Bad Boys coming to 4K in the not too distant future. And then the last honorable mention is a movie called Hiding Out from 1987, starring John Cryer. Another one of these Kino Lorber coming soon deals. This is a movie I used to watch quite a bit. I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. It used to play on cable quite a bit, and I always got a kick out of the movie. I actually liked the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's one of the few John Cryer movies I remember getting into. I don't remember John Cryer appearing in a whole lot of stuff back in the day. I mean, he was in what, Pretty in Pink, I think, or maybe 16 Candles. He was in one or more of the John Hughes movies, but I think that's the only other thing I really remember him from was the John Hughes movie. But I loved Hiding Out. It was a fun movie, and I used to watch it all the time. So I am definitely looking forward to seeing that one get a 4K release. And because I don't own it, it's perfect for me, right? Because it'll be a first-time purchase for the collection. So I can't wait. Okay, so that about wraps it up for my my most anticipated 4K releases for the remainder of 2024. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I always love hearing from you guys. What do you think of my my choices here today? Are these titles that you're interested in as well? Or do you have some other titles that I haven't mentioned that you're personally looking forward to? I always love hearing from you guys and interacting with you guys, so make sure you leave me some feedback down below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.